little brother. This is the night I find him. This lot holds my official documents. Houses change, the paperwork remains. Our guardian's death certificate is in there. Mentions an address where Leo lived at the time. Leo Dormer, residing at 17 Taibao Street. Good start. But I have no idea where that is. I load a map of the city. There. 17 Taibao Street. It's in the new territories. Barking dogs, broken bottles, that kind of neighborhood. Didn't expect any better from Leo. I yank on the chain. Won't budge. I wonder if I can locate a key somehow. No names on it. It's to call number 19. I press the button. A crackle. Smoker's voice on the other end. Angry old man. He sounds divided. Shout at a stranger to scram. All good excuse for a rant. I switch on the reporter charm. Ranting it is then. I explain that my brother used to live at number 17. The name rings a bell. They didn't interact much but had been on good terms. Leo helped the old man carry a bed frame upstairs when he moved in. Solid wood, too. He also recalls a gathering to celebrate Leo's university enrollment. Is he certain? About the university part. Yes, he says. A local university, although he can't remember which. Leo moved out soon after and was never seen again. But he was very proud of that, becoming a student so late in his life. Does he remember the university name? UMC or GMU, he says, something with 3 letters. He apologizes. His memory isn't what it used to be. I thank him anyway. So what happened next door? He sighs. A few years ago, the landlords hired a company to renovate it. They never completed the job, and the place was left to rot. Is that why it's boarded up? No, he says. The orphans are to blame. They set up camp next door. They rummage through bins. Break into empty properties. He even tried to sell him his own rubbish after he throws it out. Scavengers, he calls them. No good scavengers. Could they be selling items found at number 17? Of course, he says. They'd sell you their own mothers if they could. Not that they have any, I say. No response. How can I access the house next door? He has no idea. The landlords. He's never met them, but wouldn't mind a word or two about the mess. What can he tell me about the renovating company? Wouldn't hire them myself, he says. What did they find in the house? He recommends I ask the orphans directly. I thank you. Be careful out there, he says. Early teens, barefoot, scrawny. Only has eyes for his gadget. I venture a few questions. Conversation proves difficult. I'm not sure we speak the same language. Or maybe he has no interest in talking to me. I explain I'm after my brother. Does the name sound familiar? I don't think he gets the question. Does he know how to enter the house next door? A key, maybe? No idea what I mean. Find me buying. A light is switched on. He reaches into his bag, revealing worthless junk. A bundle of pens, elastic bound, rusty motherboard, ancient photo frame, chipped wood, slim pickings. I toss him a coin for his trouble. I think he's done. He just waves at the objects on the ground. Got to admire the salesmanship. It says ULS on them. The old man mentioned a 3-letter university name. Long shot, but worth investigating. Maybe a few more questions. The old man picks up. Got nothing better to do, he says. I mentioned the initials. Do they sound familiar at all? ULS, he says. That's the University of Life Sciences. I vaguely remember reading about it. Some riots halted construction a few years back. The building now appears simultaneously demolished and incomplete. A faded printed note. Statue project, led by Dormer. Proposals by Friday. Led by a certain Dormer. This has to be a coincidence. Or is it? I wonder what the statue project is. A small-scale version of the university includes a statue of a torch-wielding man. There's a quote on the miniature plaque, so that society may gain wisdom as fast as science gathers knowledge. A sketch of a statue, some kind of insect playing the harp. Someone annotated it with a red pen, suggesting the design was approved. The same person also penned a playful acrostic. B is for brilliant. I is for intellectuals. O is for of. E is for exponential. T is for ta. There used to be more, but the ink has bled. I can't connect his name to it. It must be one of the proposed designs. Was my brother the Dormer in charge of the project? Did he approve it? The symbolism might be significant. The acrostic could also be a clue. Two copies of the same memo. One more faded than the other. Terminal blacklist, students protest. Anderson A. Ange L. Betty G, Chopra D, Chun L, Dama W, Do L, D. The rest is illegible. Not his full name, but some initials match. Can't track down all the students, but I should investigate the protest. About parking vehicles. Some content is missing. Final notice. Vehicles without authorized, forcibly removed from the please ensure necessary before parking outside the temporary address forwarding. Biochem 7A Market Street. Biophysics 64 Signmakers Yard. Ecology 86 Keshwang Place. Ethics of Biology 341 Belvedere Heights. Virology 65C Crofton Place. Please confirm with office before. This one is upside down. Following last week's. All purchased equipment. That won't get me far. Please ensure you necessary preparations. AB. Animal rights, biology, and a large section on bioethics. BIOET. It must spell bioethics. I browsed several publications on the topic. One catches my attention. Academic paper on toxic fungi, military operations. Weaponized mycotoxins by Amrita Thomas. But it's the endorsement on the back cover that stops me in my tracks. A quote by Leo Dormer, PhD, author of Sinking the 30 Oars Ship. Professor of Bioethics and Ethics of Biology. Nothing to do with either discipline. No mentions of bioethics. But there is an address for the Ethics of Biology Department. 341 Belvedere Heights. I expect it might lead me to a colleague or fellow professor. But this is Leo's home. I tap the screen. Who are you visiting today? Visiting Leo Dormer. Please use the authentication panel. My fingers slide into metallic slots. The machine trills. Generate the match. I knock. No answer. It's unlocked. I make my presence known. The call is met with complete silence. I try knocking. No answer. The panel will open it. It wants a password, of course. Dear Professor D, you'll soon be back to your old self. Multiple signatures. Inessa. Min. XT. Esteban. Leo must be Professor D. I sense a health scare. It reads, now death threats. Wiping footprint. Uncle L in panic room. Signed M. If Uncle L is Leo, we have a relative of some kind. The death threats. Who hasn't received one or two? But I am curious. Mentions a panic room. No code. Remember, Panoptis, not on your average shopping list. Could be a password. No clues here. Marble musical instrument. Looks antique. Two series of numbers are engraved. 6998 and 4543. Could be a password. I have a good feeling about these. But no, not even with different combinations. I tried every combination of the numbers. None worked. Maybe she knows the password. Maybe she is the password. No. I try his name. No. Wise of him not to go for that. Too vague. Maybe his old address. I have exceeded the number of possible attempts. But I now have the option to reset the password. Security question 1 out of 3. First published piece. I assume it means Leo's first book. Let's see. 2 books with his name on them. Immortal morals, ancient myths and beliefs, viewed through a modern scientific lens. Sinking the 30 Wars ship, preempting the shortcomings of the biohacking revolution. Back to the error message. Interesting invoices. Leo runs a lucrative business as a bioethics consultant. Clients include government bodies, law enforcement agencies. No specifics about the services provided. Leo's original university application, titled Why Bioethics Matter. They liked it so much that it was printed in the university newspaper. They did publish it in the university newspaper. It was called Why Bioethics Matter. Okay, 1 down. Security question 2 out of 3. Mother's birthday. I know that one. There. Nice of Leo to finally include her in his life. Security question 3 out of 3. Grasshopper lover. No idea what it means. And it's not even a question. A grasshopper. Maybe the insect is meaningful after all. Black draft number 1. Incomplete wish, robbed of humanity. Metamorphosis, music playing insect. Myth of Tithonus. So that's who the insect represents. The name is indexed. Cursed lover of Eos, goddess of the dawn, begged the gods to grant him eternal life. Yet forgot to ask for eternal youth, often represented as a cicada or grasshopper. Grasshopper. Lover of Eos. That must be it. She must be the grasshopper. I should try her name. The name doesn't appear here. It's all pre-programmed. I wonder if I can set the destination. Late teenage years. Looks like he's been baking in the sun for a while. I point at the sign. Is this the stop for Phoenix Springs? Is that such a crime, he asks. To change my mind, I don't know what to say to that. How do I get there? Why would I go back, he asks. Maybe I'll find it myself. Maybe best if you don't, he says. Does the train go to Phoenix Springs? I'm going back to the sea, he says. The boy is testing my patience. Enough for the time being. But he has a question for me. Will I join him? When he goes to the sea, I study his eager, anguished face. Maybe I lied. This appeases him somehow. Yellowing, unlabeled. Hard to make sense of it. I would need to understand it first. Doesn't even show the station. Already found him. I think I know what it used to say. The letters seem to match. I don't see the connection. Late teenage years. Looks like he's been baking in the sun for a while. Late teen. Looks like he's... I ask. His eyes roll. That name, wherever I stand, there's forever. I press him. There's crying ones everywhere, he says, with a dismissive wave of the hand. What did he mean by a crying one? He says he's had enough wailing to last him a lifetime. Plenty of cries, he says, past the 101. Strange combinations of words declaimed like idioms, like I should know what he means. Something about this specific formation. Truly resembles the 3 numbers. This is how I make it to the oasis. Green crater in the heart of the desert. It's gravity. It pulls me. Rebellious streak in her. She should be chewing gum. What are you? She asks. I tell her I'm a reporter. A dog chasing her tail, she says. What's a reporter without news? I'm not sure. We shouldn't talk anymore, she says. One of many confusing conversations here. My interlocutor can volunteer information. My information doesn't quite reach them. Sturdy, ancient structure. The wooden guardrails have a glossy sheen, polished by 1,000 palms. I'm stretching, he says. So I see. The secret is to extend past your standard range of motion. There is a binary between mind and body, chaos and cosmos, other and self, imaginary and real, matter and form, sacred and profane. He goes on. The man can talk, but not listen, apparently. Picture of health. Lean limbs, clear skin. How's the water? If you float long enough, she says, the body mistakes gravity for motion. Sounds risky. To incubate means to lie down, she says. You should try it. Reporter's hunch. Some of these folks aren't worth my time. Not in use. Doesn't lead anywhere. And I don't need it. Red-eyed, hands and face blackened by coal or ash. Is she okay? Can I help? I'm sorry, she says, like a child who disappointed her parents. What for? I don't remember, she sobs. Can she tell me anything about herself? Anything that could help? It's like it doesn't print, she says. I have all this knowledge in my head, but it doesn't print correctly. Is she safe here? Anyone to speak to? She shrugs. I have no idea. Someone around here asked about Leo Dormer. Does she know him? It's possible, she says without much conviction. I don't feel great about pressing her, but this is crucial. It backfires. She breaks down. I'm going under soon, she says, and I can't remember my own name. I can't remember my craft. I can't even remember what I look like anymore. She's the best lead I have so far. I must jolt her memory. What does she mean by craft? She answers with another question. Why did they have to make the words so ugly, she asks. I'm unsure what she means. They replaced my instructions, so I had to burn them, she explains. That's why I don't remember, she says. I don't remember what I'm supposed to do. Where did she burn them? Why? Why, she asks back. Why did they make the words so ugly? The topic confuses and upsets her. Goes nowhere. I describe her features. Slender frame, shoulder-length hair. No, she protests. That's all wrong. Any pointers? Initials? Nothing. Okay, I should take it easy on her. Her reflection in the water. Worth trying. idea. Will she follow me? She hesitates. Yes. I lead her to the water. What she sees in there horrifies her. Nothing usable. Ancient furnace. Hasn't been fired in a long time. I was a real butcher, he laments. A proper rat, apex creature. He burps and retches. I'd gut your office, he says. I'd strip the premises. Even sniffed out a font that saved money on ink. I run my hand through paper-thin cinders. There is also paper in there. Erdnach. Step 1, illegible. But that must be the instructions. Enjoying the fumes a bit too much. Disheveled, begging for attention. In the city, he'd be feeding pigeons. He inquires first. What happens when you place a mirror in front of another mirror? I don't know. Some kind of infinity. You have two mirrors, he says. The thought tickles him. He giggles. Don't know why I expected wisdom. Maybe it's the tree. I ask if she's okay. She shoos me away. You're making me forget the tune, she says. Eccentric posture. Stroking petals as if coaxing an alley cat. Her patience only extends to the flowers. She shushes me with full force. They won't blossom before the moon, she says. Other and self, matter and form, sacred and profane, imaginary and real, chaos and cosmos. He goes on. The man can talk, but not listen, apparently. Deep in thoughts, unclothed, 2 fingers on his left wrist. He's monitoring his pulse. Health concerns? He presents his artery as evidence. I anticipate an anomaly in the data, he says. Stiffness in the hinges. Fever to cook the mind. This heart never stutters. He sounds almost let down. The only unknown, he says, is your influence. Maybe I shouldn't be here. Correct, he says. None of us should be here. What are you? She asks. Still a reporter. You're right, she says. People don't change. Not sure I agree. Look who's talking, she says. Tracing symbols. The focus of a scholar whose eyes were trained on fine print. Her work. I can't tell if it's an alphabet. Mathematics? No, it's bigger than that, she stammers. I mentioned the word. Erdnak, she repeats, relishing the clacking consonant. Erd, she explains, was meant to sound harsh. In that context, it meant cooked or baked. Nak, she continues, was a shape. Rectangular, to be precise. So, a baked rectangle? That would make sense, she smiles. Ancient furnace. Hasn't been fired in a long time. That doesn't... Would be right for baking, but it's empty except for crumbled bricks. Although, rectangular, baked. Is that what I'm after? Bricks. I should check with the girl. Does she know how to bake bricks? 77% mud, she recites. 19 sand. 4% straw. A glint of recognition. Gratitude, even. I bake bricks, she affirms. I build bridges that break. Mason is the name I was given here. That is my craft. She's beginning to remember. Her standing there makes me uneasy. faceless. Doesn't feel like her, and yet the letters match her name. The trowel makes sense. Is that the same person? Let's see if it awakens anything in the girl. Sanitary clothing, surgical mask, skull cap. The eyes are remarkably lifelike. The plinth has been defaced. I can make out the last 3 letters. E-O-N. More tree than man. Nothing weighs on his mind. I talk and he appears to listen. Never utters a sound, but my words do get through to him. Does he know what the statue used to look like? His fingers dip in the sand. Elegant, clean strokes. He answers with a portrait. Is that the same person? Now his finger rises towards a white moon. The light changes. One of those night skies more solid than the earth itself. He's done here. I never get to show her the portrait. The ritual begins. A mechanical march. I know exactly where it leads. The heart of the oasis. It's all there, the smells and bells of worship, with none of the fervor. The congregation goes through the motions. I find myself neutered, toothless. Spectator of a sequence 100 times witnessed. In the face of sucks me in. This is how I make it to the oasis. Green crater in the heart of the desert. Its gravity. It pulls me. I'm stretching, he says. So I see, wake up and think, empty myself, do my sums, eat. So you see, it's mind, body, like alternating current. Some say it's one, but the binaries won't meet. He goes on. The man can talk, but not listen, apparently. Does he live here? He says he comes from a house where every door was locked. It was a family motto. Did you lock the door? Mother in the office. Did you lock the door? Father in the driveway. Did you lock the door? At least here, there's nothing to close. He doesn't speak again. Stained, sniffling man. I noticed some of the harvest is rotting. Human hubris, she says. That's what fruit is designed to do. No gaps, buttons, or switches. It must lead underground. But how? White fingerprints stained the glass panel. Medium-sized hands. Flour. He considers each pot on the shelf, hesitates, repeats, rise, rise, rise. I think I hear him mumble. Let me guess, he's the baker. That's not a guess, he says. The bread won't shape itself. Can't argue with that. I noticed flour on the lift. He whispers, is that where I left my memory? I think he let it slip. An admission he's been under. I offer to fetch his memory for him. But what is it? No point, he says, if I don't even remember what it is. I ask questions, casting a wide net. I've come to accept, he says, that it might be better to forget. He's reluctant to remember. I must jolt his memory. I ask how long he's been there. Is that such a crime, he asks. To change my mind? Not to my knowledge. I picture it so clearly, he says, the path to the sea. From A to B to C, at every turn, against my will, I can't help but curve left. I ask about my brother. His eyes roll at the mention. Wherever I stand, he says, no matter what I do. There's forever a curious one asking about a lost one. I press him. I've come to accept, he says, that it might be better to forget. Forgetfulness. Repetition. Complex internal logic that solves very little. It's frustrating, but I feel compelled to help him. The reasoning isn't flawless, but he'll head back down if he can recall what he's left there. I will follow him. I've forgotten the ballad. Can she play it again for me? There. She's already recalling his ballad. The musician played me a melody. Might help Baker with his memory. I hum it to myself. His melody, it goes. It's gone. Why can't I remember it? The ballad. Why can't I remember it? Maybe not yours to remember, she says, and yet she plays it again. She's already recalling him. I can't forget the melody again. His melody. No, lost again. Not so easy, he taunts. The brain yearns to forget. He's not helping. He's reluctant to remember. I must jolt his memory. The reasoning, but he'll head. I will follow him. The melody. It's playful. An ice cream van earworm. Why can't I remember it? She's untroubled. Simply reconstruct. She's already recalling his ballad. I hum the song. I'll never forget it now. Baker's little tune. I remember how it goes now. His melody. I hear it. I hum it. We used to play it on the beach, he says. That's the memory I've left below. Peculiar creature. But I think he knows the way down. No. He's cracked. Does he remember now? I remember now, he says. Unnumbered sublevels. I notice leaks, unplugged cables. This is legacy technology. Layers built upon layers. Automation without aim. Baker fidgets, gets on my nerves. Can you smell it, he asks. It reeks of the end. spot. Scanning the photograph he picked up from the ground. Is that his memory? I shouldn't be here, he panics. Why would Mason choose this? I'm leaving for the sea. Off he goes again. Forever indecisive. Bouncing between locations. But the name, Mason, dormant inside of me. I've heard it before. A connection to Leo. Like black milk, swarming with electrodes. A prompt, begin diagnostic. It wants me to enter a name. Name not found. Why would my brother be up there? M-A-S-O-N. Machinery words. A body flashed out of a club. Mutilated between states. Can we speak? Not like this. Coils dig into my temples. It's working. The water amplifies. I am the antenna. We tune into each other's thoughts. Who is the silent one? The images aren't clear. As if they're memories somewhere. Not willing to be born yet. Let's try the person. Mason. The image is fragmented at first. Thoughts congeal. I see it. A faint trace of personhood. There is a shape in there. A trace of Leo. It's noisy, imprecise. I might need to reawaken other memories first. We focus on our location. It triggers a strong response. I catch a flurry of linked ideas. A worksite. A flood. An architect. The sequence ends abruptly, as if halted. Why is the worksite significant? What happens there? It's unclear. The memory is foreboding. About the flood. It's a dead end. Who is the architect? Hard to determine. I feel like we both know. I sense great tenderness. The vision ends. Two souls crammed into one skull. It's indecent. It wants me to enter a name. Anybody else up there? Contorted, twitching, a feverish bad night's sleep. I need the device to reach him. It's unpleasant in there, inhospitable. Like a great wall surrounds a vortex, the wall screams for me to crash against it. I visualize a worksite. The thought pierces through, Unearths buried sediments, accreted over time. It calls for a name, but whose? Can we remember the architect? Barely. An iota of ego, wrapped up in torturous motion. I focus. It's like another memory traps the light. Too much gravity and mass. Can we remember? No, it's not working. Only wants to be consumed by one thought. We see it now. It's too much. The vision trips something. But I extracted it. The missing piece, source of the torment. Mason's accident. It wants me to enter a name. I bring Mason back out. Why would my brother? Looks like we're back to the original loop. The self. The accident. It doesn't prompt anything. Must be missing parts of the story. Who is the architect? No recollect. This play. No recollection. This isn't remember. We rebuild the memory from the ground up. It starts with a person, Mason. I see it. A faint trace of personhood. Let's remember the oasis. We see the location clearly. Always triggers the same ideas. A worksite. A flood. An architect. Who is the architect? I sense great tenderness. The vision ends. The accident shouldn't be survived. Life hangs by a thread, and yet the thread is respun. It is rebirth. The procedure. All these people around Mason. Our lives become entangled. That's why I'm in the room, covering it for the newspaper. We're very close to memory supplia. That person cannot be found. Just a child, blurry-eyed. I hardly get a signal. It's shapeless and slippery. Nothing to grab onto. Does he know who it is? There's the outline of a thought. A pregnancy. A child. It feels illicit. That sequence again. A pregnancy. A child. It feels illicit. Looks like we're back to the original loop. The self erased and reframed. Mason. I see it. A faint trace of personhood. The procedure. No recollection yet. I must keep the accident. No recollection yet. I must keep digging. I see it. A faint trace of personhood. Let's remember the oasis. We see the location clearly. Always triggers the same ideas. A worksite. A flood. An architect. Who is the architect? I sense great tenderness. The vision ends. The accident. The memory is painful. The procedure. Our lives become entangled. That's why I'm in the room, covering it for the newspaper. A strange mirror. Memories of me that aren't my own. Is that all they see? Is that all I am? Remember now, something happens to me here. I become broken. An engine that only produces one question. But it is me. The reason his name lives on. I asked about Leo endlessly. I may not see the full picture. But I know exactly where to find it. How long have we been doing this? Years, decades, millennia. chance. He asks if I feel better. Heard sobbing in the cabin. I'm fine, I tell him. I used to call it rainwater, he says. It would cheer up my granddaughter. A little rainwater never hurt anyone. I study the strangely lucid person next to me. Realize I've no idea who or what they are. And that for a brief moment, it's the lucidity that matters. Rivers, tears, the sea, he says. It's all the same stuff anyway. Water's a closed system. Sometimes revealed